Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of Civilization 6. Coming at you with a special wrap-up episode of our first look at the Gaul Empire. And I am disappointed that we're not going to be taking this to the end in a lot of ways, because it's a lot of pretty fun cities and stuff. But ultimately, I'm not a big fan of the map. I'm not a big fan of a lot of the way things turned out, and we're going to talk about that in the next few minutes. Again, as you can probably tell as you clicked on this episode, it's going to be a short one. I want to talk about Gaul, give an overall first impression of my first look at them and what they do, how they play, and stuff like that. But yeah, I screwed the whole thing up. Let's be honest. The map didn't quite turn out the way I wanted it to, and so it led to me, I don't know, it got me a little triggered for sure. The map just not quite working out the way I wanted it to, and I made a couple mistakes here and there. But the biggest mistake, and the mistake really why I've just decided that we're just going to hang it up for this one, and we'll revisit Gaul in the future and have some fun with their gameplay. But I spammed my cities out. I got my settler spam going. We got down 8 or 9. Is it 9? I think it's 9. 9 really nice cities. And things are going well. And we could have easily there's so much space. I'm not a big fan of these big maps. It's the same as the lakes map, where there's just so much space. There's no close by neighbors at all. I mean, it would take me 150 turns just to build the settlers in the capital to fill up the land that I was given. I mean, there's still even like aqueduct cities out here that have tons of beautiful tiles. You could even come up this way. Look at this. Look at that. That's unbelievable. Oh my god, look at that. This is the quarry. This is a +6 oppidum before we even take into consideration those mines. It's a +7 once you mine those. I mean, you could just keep building cities for days and doing all kinds of fun stuff. But, like I said, I made a mistake. I was like, am I really going to take a first look at Gaul and not embrace their military aspects? Certainly, as I said before, and I'll get into the details of how you want to play these guys, but certainly they have some really cool stuff that's going to help you in a science game. But I was like, all this fun combat bonus, like we even saw it when we went to the war, right? You surround the guys with people, and then they're getting like +10, +12 combat strength. We were getting swordsman hits upwards of 60, 62. We had even our special Gassate unit with that +10 combat strength against units that are more stronger. We're getting like +50, +55 hits. Like, it was fun. And so what that tells you is, yes, you can absolutely get an early war with these guys, but you can't do a normal sim game for the first 70 turns and then transition to it. That was the important lesson. I was doing a normal sim game because that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to embrace them the way I saw them. And then I'm like, oh man, Brazil hasn't put up walls yet. They don't have much military. I just, in my head, I fooled myself into thinking, let's just spit out a bunch of units. I'm like 1 turning and 2 turning these things. Let's just put a train all the way out to Brazil and smack them. And it was going pretty well. It was the crossbowmen were a bit of a nuisance, but we were able to push through them. And we were actually going to be able to get it done. If they had not put those walls up, we would have had that city in 2 turns. And then once we had that, our loyalty would have settled down quite a bit. We would have been able to hold that, healed up, and we could have gone 1 turn after another, taking those other 4 cities. Because, like I said, we easily could have got that done with that extra combat strength there and the Gassate unit, and things were going well. And it was fun, and there's a game out there to be played with with Gaul like that, because we would have taken this city in 2 turns, and then we could have healed up a little bit, come back around through here. This city is completely exposed, as well as this one. We could have just easily taken these guys down without too much trouble. Once we had these 4 cities, it was over, right? Because they only had 1 city up there, so we could have actually got that done and continued on. But the game kind of just got quagmired, because not only because I was stuck in the middle, not only did I not get all the cities out that I wanted to, and I had to transition back to getting settlers again at turn 111, which is just stupidity, um, to be transitioning back. But I also slowed things down in terms of like just that mid game part when I was spamming the units. I should have been spamming my districts, so I got caught in the middle, and now I'm like, I'm not nearly as far as I should have been. I should have been well over 100 science and 100 culture easily by this time. I should have 12, 13, 14 cities at this point. And I completely divided the game up and busted apart and just destroyed the whole thing. And I apologize that we're not going to take this to the end. I know a lot of you guys probably would have liked to seen this Petra City pimped out. We had a lot of fun. We got pyramids built. We would have had a fun little run to a golden age with Taj Mahal, Forbidden City, and some stuff like that. But yeah, as it turns out, that's not going to be the case. And that's okay. Like I said, we'll revisit these guys. So I want to take a quick moment here before we wrap this up and talk about Gaul and how you play them. So there's kind of two directions. You can just do what I was doing at the beginning and just go straight sim. Get your Ancestral Hall up. Do your promotion on Magnus. We didn't have a ton of tree chops, which would have made it a little bit easier to get even more settlers out. But still, we had enough. We got lots of cities. We could have kept spamming them out, gotten to like 16, 20 or more cities. We could have just, as long as we wanted to keep, there would have been more land to put them on. And we could have had so many cities doing so many things. Amenities would have been an issue because we had a really sparse amenity selection as well, so that this map wouldn't have been perfect for that. But like I said, in the right map, in the right situation, these guys could spam super wide. They have, and when you do it, so basically it's a science sim game, right? So you got an incredibly easy amount of culture, especially early, like later in the game when you've got 400, 500, 600 culture and you're pushing on towards democracy. You know, you're going to want to have your theater squares up and other means of culture beyond that. But because, you know, obviously one extra culture, two extra culture, a few extra culture here and there isn't going to make that much of a difference on those mines. But for those first 60, 80 turns, an incredibly easy amount of culture, that passive culture, pushes you through the tech tree without having to actually do anything about it. And then you can focus your science, you can get your commercial hubs up and your campuses up. And then if obviously you want to get your oppidums up in this case. And then you can get your theater squares at pop 10 and make that push to democracy. So they really formulate well with easy passive culture, focus on your science, sim out, and then high production as you get your half-price industrial zones online will kind of further your strength, if you will, when you come to a science victory, because high production is great for science, lets you get your universities built faster, and then, of course, obviously get your research labs built faster, and all the extra buildings and all your different districts get done faster, and everything just gets sped up with production in a science game, which is so great. So, like I said, these guys are a great science civ. Sim it out now, and I guess a great big giant map like this is ideal for that. Really, you don't have to ever worry about war. But I decided to worry about war. The other way you can play these guys is you can instead of early simming, you can get your 3, maybe 4 cities, but probably even early, like get some units out, like 2 or 3 cities, have your second and third city just spitting out units. Maybe your capital gets a 4th settler or a 4th city going. But for the most part, just really quick transition in the first 35, 40 turns. Get, 7, 8, 10 units on the way. And typically if you're playing a regular map and you don't have all this room, you're going to have a neighbor who's decently close. You formulate those guys up, you go out, you take advantage of all those great abilities we were looking at there, and you take out your neighbor, and then you get some cities for free. In this case, we had a wide, expansive piece of land between us that completely blew that opportunity. Like if he had been sitting in here somewhere, would have we could have just boom, 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 flanked him, taken the cities down, and it would have made a lot more sense. But anyway, so that's the second way. Get a couple cities, spam units, take out your neighbor, and then transition maybe 10 or 15 turns later than normal into your settler spam, into your expansion, and just kind of use that early war as a kickstart. Which is the way I'll definitely play them probably the next time. Is in order to take advantage of all the different abilities of Gaul. I think that's the way you want to try it. So anyway, there you go. That's it. So many beautiful cities lost. By the way, I don't know if I showed you this. Talk about the most troll geothermal fissure of all time. +5 campus if that's not sitting there, and if it happens to be here, it's a +7. But no, we didn't have to live through that torture though because we didn't get the expansion done that we wanted to. So yeah, I mean, this city, I mean, if we really were super strategic, if we had a little bit more than 4 turns, maybe 5 or 6 turns, maybe we could have, these crossbows could have done a decent amount of damage to those walls. Maybe we take that city. I just like, at this point, it's the perfect reminder of how I screwed up the game, screwed up the strategy. The strategy, there's 2 ways, like I said, and then I'm going to wrap it up. 2 ways. Straight sim, easy passive culture, science victory. Or quick military game, take out your closest neighbor, use that to snowball into your slightly delayed settler spam, get your sim game going, and then it's, again, easy culture is still there. Get your science game going. The wider you get, the easier science game gets. And that's it. All right, we're going to leave it there. I appreciate you guys hanging out and watching this series all the way to the end, and I appreciate you doing all the things that you do to make this channel more and more successful all the time. It's like a dream come true. Thank you for being here. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.